Hi friends! Today we are going to make a really cute bunny Easter little project. Got this little Valentine sign at the Dollar Tree. Has some little plasticky hearts on them, and so I'm taking both those off. This one was a little tricky, but I got it off with my little scraper. And to start off with, I'm going to paint it all in Waverly white chalk paint. Just using a regular paintbrush just to get it coated really well. Doesn't matter if the words show through some, but because the paper I'll be covering up with is plenty thick and the words don't show at all. Just getting it completely covered, the inside of the frame and the outside as well. And I use the heat tool to dry it completely. It's just about dry. Want to make sure it's really dry before you start distressing it and putting your papers on. So now I'm getting the outside of the frame. I love this white chalk paint. It just goes on so nice and smooth. Looks so nice. Touching up the top part a little bit where I missed or didn't get good coverage. And then I'll take my heat tool and give it another good dry. It was kind of sticking to my paper towel underneath, so I had to make sure that was unstuck. And once it's dry, I'm going to put some polka dot blue paper in the back there. And I had to assemble it in two pieces. It wasn't quite long enough for my project, but it worked out well. And I decided not to Mod Podge it on. I instead, as you will see in a second here, I used some liquid paper glue instead and just glued it onto the back inside of that frame. Had to trim a tiny bit of it off. So just putting it all along the edges, and then I'll put it on there and just use my fingers to smooth it all out. Now I'll set that aside, and I've got this little bunny wood cutout that I got at the Dollar Tree. And so I'm using some coordinating pink scrapbook paper that I will Mod Podge on to this little bunny. So I'm getting it all the edges really well, making sure the paper will be stuck down well. I'm just pressing it down with my fingers, making sure it's adhered and there's no air bubbles. Now I'm going to dry it completely. Then I'll use my little gator sander to sand off and make smooth edges. And there was a couple little detailed parts of this bunny going around that was kind of hard for me to get the detailed sander into. but it ended up working out. I just had to work at it a little bit more. Thought it'd be easier to cut off that excess first. But as you will see, there's a couple spots I kind of struggled getting my sander in there and getting a smooth edge. But we got it. Mostly around his little feet and his ears. A nail file, if I would have had it handy, would have worked out well too, for those small spots. As you can see, I'm struggling just a little bit, but I eventually will get it nice and smooth and have a clean, smooth edge. And then I'll use my distressing ink, go around all the edges on this too. And I love this bunny. It looks so cute when I get it all distressed here in a moment. Had to kind of pick it out, and at one point I even get my scissors and get a little triangle piece that I couldn't get my sander into. Right there. And here I'm just going to distress all the edges. And if you don't like that look, don't have to do it. He's still cute without it. It's just something that I prefer doing. I really like that roughed up, distressed, kind of aged look. And then I'm just going to hot glue them in the middle of that boxed frame. And off camera, I forgot that I needed to paint my little candle holder that I'm going to use as a stand. So here I'm using distress ink on it to match and then I'll distress the edges of the frame as well. And then I'm going to glue that on, and I struggled with this. Sometimes you have the best ideas in your head, but it doesn't work out, doesn't go as planned. But we make it work. Okay, now I'm going to glue them in there. Going to make just a little quick shoestring bow for her neck. She's got to have a bow on her neck. Okay, here's where I'm going to glue it on, and I'm gluing all the way around the circle edge of the candle holder, and then I'm filling up that little bowl of it too, thinking that would help secure it more. But it was just more hot glue that needed to dry, and as I'm working on my project, I'm realizing it still wasn't dry. Not quite here yet, but so I'm gluing in some Spanish moss underneath the bunny there. And it starts getting a little wobbly here, so I'm trying not to mess with it too much, but the stand is just not sticking too well yet. I start cutting it off, and that's when it kind of goes kaput. And I'm still holding it on and trying to cut the rest of the excess Spanish moss off. And I'm realizing I've got a problem. So I went off camera and really secured it. I secured it with E6000 and hot glue and a little bit of jute cord around the edge, and now it's nice and secure. So now I am making my bow with a couple different pinks in the ribbons and some twine. This is kind of an organza sheer darker pink ribbon. Just going back and forth as many loops as I want. Wanted a little bit more twine in there than just the bottom tie piece. Now I'm going to tie it in a knot, bring it out, and then just finish it off with a bow. I'm going to glue that right in the upper left corner there. Make sure the tails are hanging down first before I put the glue. Make sure that glue is and the bow is adhered tightly, and then I'll cut off the excess pieces that I don't need. Then I've got this craft paper tag that I made that says Happy Easter. So I'm just going around all the edges of that as well and just dressing it like I always do. And I'm going to put that underneath my bow towards the right of it on top of my picture. Trying to decide right where I want it. Needed to cut the twine a little bit more. Get enough glue there. Lift up the pieces and just kind of hold it in there. Then I'm going to put a little dot of glue underneath the right part of the tag so it stays up where I want it. I think that looks so cute, and I'll finish it off by putting a heart button in the center of that bow. And I decided I needed a few little green pieces, so I'm sticking some little greenery in that Spanish moss, and to me it just kind of finishes it off. And after struggling in a couple places with this project, we got it to work, and it looks great. I think it turned out so super cute. I'm really, really happy with it. And I really appreciate you watching, and I hope it inspires you to make something similar. And I really appreciate you watching. Thank you.